Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Classic Gaming Brothers. I'm Zach.
And I'm Seth.
And we're the Classic Gaming Brothers.
That's right. We are the Classic Gaming Brothers.
That's right. We are.
What a day, what a dollar.
What a day, what a dollar. That's a classic Gaming Brothers line right there.
Ooh, we got some good episodes that we are going to maybe talk about in the future.
Those are some things that we've had sitting there for a while in these notes.
Yeah. I do like a shovelware episode. That sounds like fun.
Oh, yeah. I've been meaning to put together a shovelware episode.
Because don't you love shovelware?
I think shovelware is very fun. I don't know if I love it. I find it amusing.
Dead War Simulators.
I think you suggested that.
I know. We should just do an episode on Fields of Glory from Microprose in 1996. That needs to be its own standalone episode. But that's not what we're talking about today.
No, we're not. We're not talking about Fields of Glory. We're talking about Gex.
We are. Way to bury the lead.
Well, people can read, and I assume they've read the title of this episode.
That's true. It's not
really a secret. It'd be like if, Star Wars Empire Strikes Back was called Star Wars Episode 5, Darth Vader's Luke's father.
Ooh. And then people are like, I don't want to watch that. What if we started labeling our episodes with a game and then talked about an entirely different game the entire
today's our Fields of Glory episode.
I thought you were going to listen to Gex. Spoiler alert. It's actually about an obscure Microprose game from the 90s. Buckle up, you're in for a chore.
Which is what I always say when I'm about to play a Microprose game. Buckle up, I'm in for a chore.
Wow. Not all Microprose games are a chore. Just a
vast chunk of them.
There are some that are a chore. Well, anyway, before people get confused about this episode and actually thinking that we are going to go on to a tangent about Fields of Glory, Zach.
Yes, Seth.
What have you recently been playing?
Well, Seth, recently I've been playing a game that it's not like Fields of Glory, but it is a strategy game, and that is Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds, and I've been playing it through the Expanding Fronts mod. I don't know if I've talked about this particular mod before, but yeah, I've been playing through the campaign of Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds, which the original game and its expansion pack clone campaigns were released in 2001 and 2002. They are games built in the Genie engine, which is the same engine that was used for Age of Empires and Age of Empires 2. Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds is basically Age of Empires, but with a Star Wars coat of paint. In fact, it is very similar to Age of Empires, with most of the tech tree being the same and a lot of the units just being translated over, with the exception is that you don't have any melee units because everyone in Star Wars uses blasters, so everyone is ranged, but there are now flying units, so there is anti-aircraft units and bombers and fighters and interceptors and all different stuff that you can have in a real-time strategy Star Wars game. The games, I think, are incredibly nostalgic for me. I assume nostalgic for Seth. Our dad owned a copy of both Battlegrounds and Clone Campaigns, so I remember playing those on his old computer, and recently I got into the mood to play them again. I was actually watching a video on YouTube, and it was about how canon can the campaigns of Galactic Battlegrounds be. So excluding the fact that anything that's pre-Disney purchase is non-canon now, if you ignore that and you try to put this game campaign into canon, how well does it fit in? And I thought this was a pretty cool video, and I was enjoying it, and I was like, man, I just want to play some Galactic Battlegrounds now. So I downloaded the game, I own it through GOG, and ran into the problem that I've run into before, which is that the game is not optimized to run on modern computers. The GOG version is literally just the version that came out back in 2001 and 2002. So I downloaded the Expanding Fronts mod. Now, Expanding Fronts is a 2016 mod that does a few things. Most important is that it fixes the game to have widescreen support, and it also does a little bit of tweaking graphical wise to make it look better when it's stretched out to widescreen. So it plays very nicely on your modern computer. The other thing that it does is that it adds in some new civilizations that you can play as in the custom scenarios. So like in any real-time strategy game, you can set up custom scenarios against bots or even online, and this adds in a whole new assortment of civilizations. So in the original game, there's the Galactic Empire, the Rebel Alliance, there is the Wookiees, the Trade Federation, the Gungans, there is also the Republic, and the Confederates, or Confederacy, not Confederates, the Confederacy.
Oh, that would be a whole different Star Wars Galactic Battle.
Yeah, it's just Empire Earth, but with Star Wars. So there's just also the like Confederate States of America.
That'd be fighting against the Trade Federation. That could be fun.
Now, Expanding Fronts adds in the First Order from the new Disney trilogy, the Resistance, the New Republic, Imperial Remnant. It also adds in the Zan Consortium and the Black Sun, which are two mercenary groups. Well, the Black Sun's a criminal group and the Zan Consortium's a mercenary group with ties to the Rebel Alliance. Yeah, it's cool to add in these new civilizations that you can now play as in the custom scenarios. It also reworks some of the previous games, different civilizations and such. So in the original game, the Geonosians and the Confederacy were kind of the same civilization, and this one splits them so that there's a separate Geonosian civilization and a Confederacy civilization. So when you're playing in maps that aren't necessarily places where Geonosians would be, then it's more targeted as like Confederacy units, where if you're playing under like a map that is Geonosis, then you would have the Geonosians. So it's just small little details like that that kind of make it a fun mod, and that's Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds Expanding Fronts. The mod is available on the mod database for free. It's pretty easy install. You just extract a file, put it into your install folder for Galactic Battlegrounds, and run it through the executable that it gives you. It gives you a new executable that you can use to set it up. But yeah, that's what I've been recently playing. It's been a fun time. Seth, what about you? What have you been recently playing?
Recently, I've actually been playing a game that you've certainly heard me talk about, and that is continuing playing some more Retro Rewind. Just a reminder, it was published and developed by Bloodpack Studios and released back March 17th, 2026. I've been pretty busy in my daytime life outside of the podcast, so I've been really only concentrating on playing one game during my downtime, and that is Retro Rewind. Also, when I talked about it the first time, I'd only played maybe an hour or so of it. Now I'm at like 10 or 11 hours, so I have a decidedly better opinion about how the game is. And the best part so far is now I have an employee, and his name is Jackson. And he comes smiling in every morning. He's got some gray hair, but he's young. He's just, one of those people who just has gray hair when he was born kind of thing. Yeah. He's got a good pep to his step, and he generally works the checkout. So there's two positions within the video game rental store. It's you either have the returns desk or the register. And so he generally works the register. Though in the morning when I'm like buying videos and stuff like that, sometimes I have him work the returns desk so I don't have to do that and also buy stuff. But then when the store is open and there's customers everywhere, then I'm out handing out flyers and then, of course, working in returns. Jackson's a great employee. He's really good at handling customer complaints, which he just yells at people when they break videotapes or they're late. He says, you need to pay the fine, period. If you interact with somebody, you can waive their fee if they have a reason. So it's kind of funny because like one lady once told me when I was working the register that she broke her leg and she wasn't able to bring the video in. And I was like, that's a legitimate excuse. I'll just waive your $2 fee. But Jackson, he doesn't take excuses. He demands all fees are payable. He does have some issues. One is that he does occasionally have to use the bathroom, which is fine. I cover his shift when he goes to the bathroom. The other thing that he does almost more often than having to go to the bathroom is that he falls asleep at the register.
Now, that's a problem.
And there's no chair, so he's literally just standing. There will be a line of customers and he will be standing and he'll say, oh man, and he'll just turn around and he will fall asleep, and I'll be like, Jackson, what are you doing? You're literally in the middle of ringing this person up. And so then I will yell at him to get back to work, and then he goes, oh, I wasn't sleeping, I just had my eyes shut. And I was like, okay.
Jackson is like our dad when we watch a movie with him.
Yeah, so he's exactly. And so then he gets up and he goes right back to work and handles the customers. He's average at both running people through the register and also the returns desk. Average is better than, I think it's the second or third worst. So there's two better things than you can be for average. I think it's like good and best. And so like he is not the fastest. So eventually Jackson, what I'm saying is Jackson, unless I'll find a way to get his better skills, eventually he will be fired. And we are getting close to opening the store to be a bigger location. We also have more genres since I've played it for an extended period of time, including we have adult videos, which everyone in this town loves to rent. And I did read about somebody on Reddit that they wanted to build an adult only store. So like I was actually against building an adult section in my video in my store, and then I realized they are $2 more to rent than a standard video. So a standard video is $4 to rent. A new release is $7 to rent, and an adult video is $6 to rent.
There you go.
And everybody loves to rent them. You have to buy your adult videos from the guy he's the bootlegger. He shows up to your store every Tuesdays and Thursdays, and he's just a man in a trench coat and sunglasses who stands out in an alleyway with a table that has some VHS items, and usually you can buy them for cheap. But yeah, so it's a pretty fleshed out game, and they're still working on getting some additional additions to the game, including, but they've shown a teaser of video game rentals, including something that looks like a SNES cartridge and something that looks like a Sega Genesis cartridge.
Ooh.
So eventually you'll be able to run a video game rental store and sell some video games out. So it looks kind of cool, the artwork that they have for the cartridges as well. So definitely Retro Rewind Video Store Simulator is definitely worth a check, especially since I've talked about it twice in a row for an episode.
Cool. Well, getting to today's episode, as we've already mentioned, we're going to be talking about the game Gex, Gex. In terms of memories, Seth, do you want to go first? Do you have any memories of Gex?
No, I'm aware that this game came out, and I'm aware it came PlayStation, right?
Yes, PlayStation, 3DO, and DOS.
I remember Gex being popular-ish on the PlayStation, where people were trying to, PlayStation was trying to push it as, their mascot or something. And I do remember recently watching a YouTuber who was trying to collect all the Gexes or something, where he would just call video stores and ask if they have Gex over and over again.
Okay.
But I think it's that guy who does the flipping videos. I don't know. Yeah, that's really my real kind of history of Gex. We didn't really know a lot of people with PlayStations, and if they had PlayStations, they didn't really have Gex. Or if they did have Gex, I think it was a single player game. I wouldn't be playing it by myself, because when the PlayStation came out, I was at the age where I didn't just go over to people's houses to play their video games.
That's fair. Yeah.
And I didn't have a PlayStation, but I would play multiplayer games with people. That's fine. That's something I still do today. But I have ceased going over to other people's houses to play their games by myself.
That's fair.
I only did that as a child, but I don't do that anymore. I don't go to Zach's.
I'm glad to hear.
Play. Yeah, just jump on your computer, just play some single player, some video game store rental.
If you did, I'd be confused, but I'd be proud of you.
Yeah, get out of here. I'm playing the video games.
In terms of my memory of Gex, I think I had a friend who had Enter the Gecko, which was the second game of the Gex trilogy. Enter the Gecko, I at least remember the box art really clearly, which is Gex kind of looks like James Bond. He's wearing a tuxedo on the cover. I've since played at least the first Gex game, which is different than Enter the Gecko and the third one, which are 3D platformers. The first one, which we'll be talking about, is a 2D platformer. I've played a bit of that on MS-DOS, the DOS version at least, and it holds up, I think. I mean, it's a solid platformer. I assume it plays better on PlayStation. I think the DOS version has its issues, but yeah, I mean, it's a solid game. And speaking of that solid game, in terms of its development, Gex began back in around 1993 with Lyle Hall at Crystal Dynamics. Now, we talked about Crystal Dynamics, in fact, in the last episode of this podcast when we talked about Legacy of Kain. Crystal Dynamics, for those who don't remember, was the company that published Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain, and would later be involved in some controversy with Silicon Knights, the original developers of Legacy of Kain, and there was some lawsuit issue and back and forth legal issues, and eventually Crystal Dynamics did retain the rights to Legacy of Kain and would would go on to publish the rest of the games of that franchise for the most part. But Gex was made by Crystal Dynamics. And for those who might not remember or don't know, Crystal Dynamics was a company that had spun off of the 3DO company back in 1992.
Did Crystal Dynamics also do Legacy of Kain, and didn't they also do...
They did do Tomb Raider stuff, yeah. They were involved in
Tomb Raider, Legacy of Kain, and Gex.
Well, they worked on later Tomb Raider games, but yes, they still worked on Tomb Raider.
But it was the 3 games that we've covered.
That's true. We've gone on a little bit of a Crystal Dynamics trilogy.
Crystal Dynamics trilogy. Maybe the next episode we do will just be about Crystal Dynamics, the company.
Maybe, though we do talk a bit about their history, and we'll be talking about their history. So, in terms of their history, Crystal Dynamics was founded by Madeline Canepa, Judy Lang, and Dave Morse. Dave Morse previously was the co-founder of the Amiga Corporation, which would produce the Amiga computers. And Madeline Canepa and Judy Lang came from Sega as marketing executives. In fact, I believe it was Judy Lang who, when I was reading about her, was referred to as the godmother of Sonic because of her involvement in Sega's marketing. Lang would become the president at Crystal Dynamics, with Morse serving as CEO and chairman, and Canepa leading the marketing team. They set up their studio at a retail space at the Palo Alto airport and hired Mark Cerny as a developer. One of the first games they would release would be Crash and Burn and Total Eclipse, which were released in 1993 for the 3DO as launch titles. The company wanted to create a mascot, as that was in vogue at the time, so they came up with different ideas for a mascot. They, of course, wanted the mascot to also star in their own game that they could have as a 2D platformer, but also still make use of the 3DO's more complex graphics and sound abilities. They also, of course, wanted this mascot to be able to stand up against Mario and Sonic.
One of the initial designs was a character who was named Gecko X, a Hollywood stunt performer who would need to save a bankrupt film studio. The idea was that each level would be themed after a movie genre and would feature actual stock footage from films of those genres. The idea was changed as lead programmer Greg Travers felt that the realistic setting wouldn't translate well to good level design and said, "That game sounds like a crocodile." They instead shifted the idea a bit and changed the name of the character from Gecko X to Gex, and changed the concept of the game to feature a more cartoony-like world. As the 3DO was capable of CD quality music and sound, they hired Dana Gould as the voice of Gex. Gould would also write all of Gex's dialogue, which is interesting. Be like, "Hey, excuse me, would you like to voice act this character?" Sure. You also have to decide what the character says.
I mean, he was known to be a stand-up comedian, writer, and actor, so I think they just got lucky. Dana Gould, for those who don't know, was later involved in The Simpsons, but had a career in comedy and writing and acting at the time. So I think it made sense for them to bring him on. He wrote the Ben Stiller Show.
Oh, did he?
He did.
There was a show called the Ben Stiller Show?
There was a show. It was a sketch comedy show. It had 13 episodes.
Was it any good?
It had 13 episodes.
I guess not, if 13 episodes.
It's considered a spin-off of the Andy Dick Show.
Oh, is it starring Ben Stiller?
Yes, the Andy Dick Show didn't star Ben Stiller, but the Ben Stiller Show did star Ben Stiller.
It was the beginning of his
career?
Oh, yeah, it was apparently.
Yes.
I just looked up the Ben Stiller Show, and there was a very young Ben Stiller on the cover of it. Yeah. Side note, just on as I'm talking about Ben Stiller, you know that there's a new Meet the Parents movie coming out, right?
I'm aware.
And there's 3 that were already out.
Yes.
Ben Stiller said at least 2 are good.
Yes, I've seen that one. I've seen that quote. Unrelated, but back to Dana Gould. Dana Gould was in fact in Mystery Men.
Oh, was he?
He played Squeegee Man.
Oh yeah, he's at the full part. Oh, so yeah, I think it's when he's auditioning. I think he just squeeges the camera and then it goes to somebody else. Yeah. Anyway, yes, going back, Dana Gould, best known for his role in Mystery Men as the Squeegee Man, would go on to write for all the dialogue of Gex. The game's development began sometime in late 1993, and a deadline was set for 1994. This deadline would come and go as the team had reworked various design elements and would run into different complications than they anticipated. One of these was developing art for the game. With a 16-bit game, graphics in-game often took certain shortcuts to appear both visually appealing, but also fit in the limited space. Gex, however, was a 32-bit game. And this expanded memory meant that more graphics could be made, making more space, which means you can have more colors. While it sounds like it's a good problem to have, it also meant that artists would spend about 2 months developing a single level because they had so many colors. Crystal Dynamics tried to hire more artists, but Panasonic, who was funding the game, or at least helping fund the game, did not see why they needed more artists. And they said, no, we don't want to give you more money or spend your money on artists. You have lots of artists.
You have 2.
Yeah, there's 2. And the games that they previously funded, such as Crash and Burn and Total Eclipse, both had small art teams. So Panasonic felt that Gex could be done with a small team. Eventually, however, Crystal Dynamics was able to bring in more artists to move things along.
Now, one fun story about the development was that there are some secretly programmed features in Gex, including secret levels and some small mini games. These were done by a few of Gex's developers who got together to secretly add in these items. There is a 2D shooting mini game, which was developed by Evan Wells as a senior project at Stanford University, which he then incorporated into the code of Gex. There's also a small mini game that was added in by Susan Michelle, one of the game's scripters. These secrets were discovered during playtesting, but kept in the game along with the hidden extended end credits that includes photos of the staff. So that's a nice thing that they decided to keep in the game, even though it was caught by playtesters. Now, there was another secret that was added to the game initially. You see, Justin Knorr, who was the lead designer of Gex, designed a few levels, and one of these levels had numerous bugs in it. And he requested that someone please take a pass through this level, try to fix the bugs. Instead of fixing the bugs, the level was removed to make sure that the game could make it to shipping. Basically, whoever took a pass at it said, it's going to take us way too much time to fix these bugs. We might as well remove this level. Knorr would then find out they removed the level, and he got a little grumpy. He got so grumpy, in fact, that he added in some secret messages into the game and a code that would allow players to access the original version of the level that he had designed. And in this original version, he included the personal telephone number of Madeline Canepa and instructed players to call her, who, I would remind you, this is the head of the marketing team that he's having people call. And he's instructing people to call her and quote unquote, give her a piece of your mind. Now, these secrets were found during playtesting, and instead of being left in the game like the other secrets that were found, Knorr was fired and the secret level was removed almost immediately. So the secret level doesn't exist in Gex anymore, but it was something that was potentially going to be in the game that was caught.
Yeah. Him getting fired for doing that is probably for the best for everybody involved.
I think so too. Gex would eventually be released in April of 1995, and it was later ported to the PlayStation and Sega Saturn in December of 1995, and then to the PC in November of 1996. Now, the gameplay of Gex it's a 2D platformer, where you play as the titular Gex, who is in fact a gecko. There are 24 different levels set in 5 different TV-themed worlds. Each world ends in a boss fight. Beyond the usual platforming abilities such as running and jumping, Gex is also able to climb on walls and ceilings, thanks to the fact that he is in fact a gecko, and geckos are able to climb on things. You collect various items and power-ups throughout the game, and if you find a secret portal, it will bring you to a bonus level where you can earn some extra points and such. The plot of Gex surrounds Gex, who's the character in the game. He's a TV-obsessed anthropomorphic gecko who lives a life of luxury in a mansion in Hawaii. After eating a passing housefly, he is sucked into his TV, as the housefly was actually a drone that was created and being controlled by someone named Rez, who is the ruler of the media dimension. Rez plans to use Gex as the media dimension's new mascot, but Gex just wants to go home and watch TV. In fact, when you beat the game, Gex goes back to his couch, sits down, and wonders what is on HBO. Gex does not learn his lesson. He still loves TV. Now, Seth, how did Gex do?
Gex sold well and was one of the best-selling games on the 3DO. Exact figures are unclear, as there are some contradicting sources. In articles in GamePro and the Electronic Gaming Monthly, it stated that Gex sold more than 1 million units before it was made in a pack-in game with the Panasonic version of the 3DO. However, Next Generation had an article that states that the game sold only 750,000 units for the 3DO. The PlayStation version did sell over 1 million units, however. The game was well received. Next Generation gave it a 4 out of 5. All Game gave it a 4 out of 5. And Electronic Gaming Monthly gave it a collective score of 34.5 out of 40. Because EGM works on a 4 ratings for 4 people that they add up. And each of those ratings is 1 out of 10. And so they add up all the ratings. So if me and Zach, producer Doug, and one of our guests all rated a game, and we all gave it a 1 except for Zach, it would have a score of 13 out of 40. Now, people praise the game's graphics, animations, game secrets, and overall gameplay. Some negative reviews found that some gameplay elements like Gex's ability to climb is not really unique. However, Dana Gold's voice work was pretty universally praised, though one review noted that the music and sound effects often drowned out his lines, probably because they didn't balance all the stuff right.
Now, with great success comes sequels, and Gex got two sequels. The first being Gex Enter the Gecko for the PlayStation and N64 in 1998, which changed the game from a 2D side-scroller into a 3D platformer, akin to other popular 3D platformers at the time, like Super Mario 64 or Banjo-Kazooie. A 2D version of the game was also made for the Game Boy Color, and would be released the same year. A year after that, 1999, Gex 3 Deep Cover Gecko was released for PlayStation and N64. This would also be a 3D platformer, and again, a 2D version of the game was released for the Game Boy Color. And that's it. That's it for Gex. There were 2 sequels to Gex, and then nothing else has really come of Gex. There's certainly been references to Gex, and Gex has kind of become a meme on the internet, largely thanks to people like Scott the Woz, who is a YouTuber who I know was involved in making Gex a meme. And yeah, for some reason, Gex became a meme, probably because, I don't know, it's fun to say, Gex. But yeah, currently Square Enix is the rights holder to the franchise, and there have been no movement from them on whether or not they're going to ever do anything with Gex that's brand new. Apparently they were seeking like pitch input from people. Like if you wanted to pitch them a new game in the Gex franchise, they would have listened to you. I don't think that went anywhere. However, just in 2025, the Gex trilogy was released on Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 5, Windows, and Xbox Series X/S. And this was released and developed by Limited Run Games. Limited Run Games does have a development arm, and this is one of their titles. The games run through emulation. These aren't like remastered versions of the Gex games, but they do allow you to play the Gex trilogy in their original form on your modern system. So if you want to play Gex, you're certainly able to play Gex. It's not like you can't. So Gex did appear a couple times in some other games. He appears as an unlockable character in Hot Shots Golf 2 and Mad Dash Racing. He also appears in Astrobot, which is an interesting game to appear in. And that's Gex.
Nice. It's very Gexed up. Well, anyway, we'll move on to our Retro Rewind section, because that's the section that comes after this one.
That is the section that comes after this one. Seth, what was your Retro Rewind?
Well, I was going to say, usually Zach does the transitions, and he just had to jump in there to yell at me to make sure that he asserts his dominance in the transition space. Zach, I played Tooth Protectors for the Atari 2600, which was developed by DSD and Camelot. I think it's DSD Camelot. It's because it's DSD/Camelot, so I think they're one company. They just changed their names. And then published by Johnson & Johnson, the medical supply company, not to be confused with SC Johnson, the company that is behind Ziploc bags. This game, Tooth Protectors, came out in 1983. You play as some weird Thomas the Tank Engine cross with Shrek hybrid that can only look face forward as you step left and right over some weird-ass square teeth. Everything's in like 2D and like flat 2D. There's like this turkey creature that's got a mad face, and he drops squares on you, I guess is the appropriate thing to say. Kind of also looks like he's booping. But he drops squares on you, and you have to block them and deflect back the square blocks, as it were, into the turkey flying creature. It's a game. It's fine. I played it, and I did not hate myself, but it was also, there's like a million games that are in the same style of it. Interestingly enough, the game never went out to a retail release. It was only available if people sent in proof of purchases to Johnson & Johnson, and they would mail you back the game, which is okay if you missed out back in 1983, because it's not really, it's a game that's replicated pretty regularly throughout multiple games. However, if you find a copy wild, you can probably make a couple $100 on it, because it's very rare, because they only went through this weird distribution of it. Anyway, next week, Zach, you can play Samurai Shodown, the Sega Genesis, and that's not Samurai Showdown. That's Samurai Shodown.
I'm looking forward to it.
I guess it's Showdown. It's not Showdown, though.
Or showdown.
Yeah.
Showdown. Yeah.
Well, there's the way why we're saying it this way, folks, is because it's spelled SHODOWN versus SHOWDOWN. So instead of Showdown, it's Shodan.
Yes.
I don't know. Anyway. Zach,
Yes, Seth.
talk about your retro rewind.
I guess I will. So Seth had me play Barney, hide-and-seek game for the Sega Genesis. Developed in 1993 by Real Time Associates, Barney, hide-and-seek game is an edutainment game where you have to move Barney around different levels to find your friends who are hiding, and you have to seek them. Barney, for those who might not know, is the large purple dinosaur. You walk around, and your only ability is you blow kisses. And you can jump sometimes, but it's only when you're near things that you can jump. If you're not near things you could jump, you blow kisses. Barney also talks a lot in this game. Every time you see something, if you click like the interact button near it, Barney will be like, "That's a rock. That's a tree." And it is the voice of Barney. The actual voice actor who was behind the voice of Barney does the voice in the game, which is a little cool. But yes, Barney has the ability to blow kisses, and you find your friends. When you find them, Barney picks them up, hugs them, tells them that he loves them, and they run away. It's a strange game. But, I mean, it's harmless. It's a Barney game. One problem I do have with it is that it is referred to by a couple sources as edutainment, but I didn't learn anything. The only thing I learned is that Barney will find you, and he will hug you.
Zach.
What?
There's something behind you.
No! Barney! Anyway, does Barney hide-and-seek game hold up? I don't think so. Seth, next week, I want you to play a game called Wolf for MS-DOS.
Okay, great. Sounds good.
Thank you again, everyone, for listening to us. If you have any thoughts on Gex, memories of Gex, or words you want to say about Gex, you can let us know. You can email us at classicgamingbrothers@gmail.com. We're available wherever podcasts can be found, be it Podbean, iTunes, or iHeartRadio. We're available on social media, Classic Gaming Brothers, CG Brothers Pod. We're also available on Twitch. Look us up, Classic Gaming Brothers. On YouTube, like and subscribe. On Patreon, be sure to follow us and support us. With that, I don't think I'm forgetting anything. If I am, Seth, can you remind me?
Don't play games like my brother.
And don't play games like my brother.
I've been Seth.
And I've been Zach.
And we've been the Classic Gaming Brothers.
That's right.
That's right.